Report. It is April 20th, 2025. Please excuse my earlier flub. I had not fully pressed all the buttons to get the crisis report out, which of course you can find on Substack, which you're looking at here, preppernow.substack.com. Crisis report comes out daily. Got a date, usual name. I'm calling this one Resurrection Sunday because it's interesting on days like this. I have to go a little bit deeper because there's a lot of people that are off. People aren't doing stuff. And of course, you know, I like to come here and do this. So I have to go into some channels I don't usually visit. I see them on my feeds and everything, but, you know, these are just channels that have good stuff, but it's not quite as ubiquitous, as to the point, is focused. I don't know how to put it. So these channels are good channels. Some of them are very, you know, Russian and Ukrainian, and they're just super focused on certain things, very specific things. So there's not like a general thing out there. So I go to more of the general stuff. I go to like Megatron and Clash Report. I used to go to the World War III dude, but I don't know what happened. He went like insane and blew up his channel. So I don't know what's up with that guy, but I go to Amir Sarfati. I go to, gosh, who else? There's like 10 that I regularly visit, and then there's about 50 that I have that I can go to in times like this. There's like Note of Time. I'll go through, and actually I'll name them all the channels. If you're ever looking and you want to, you know, looking for a good Telegram channel, that's where I find it. So it is a great thing. The thing I like about Telegram is there's no algorithm. It's just first come, first serve. I like that style because you can tell it's very organic. And so I'll go through and I'll just kind of tell you all of them. Oh, I get Insider Paper. I go to The General. That's another one. I go to disclose.tv. I'll go to Geopolitics, Note of Time. I'll go to Geopolitics and Eurasia. There's a lot of really cool channels out there. So I'll name some of them off as I go through. Military Events is another one. So there's some cool stuff, cool places to go, and I'll kind of name them off. I generally start off with the more general stuff with Insider Paper, The General, and Disclose.tv. But tonight I think I started with Clash Report. So let's go through it. And you can tell Clash Report is pro-Hamas, pro-Muslim, and it's just kind of a counterweight to Amir Sarfati, who's pro-Israel and pro-right politics, and so pro-Trump and mid. So it's a good balance to each other, you know. And I know that they're going to say about the same things, but it's going to come from different takes, and that's kind of the key, as we discussed. So, all right, let's get started on your crisis report. I appreciate you being here and hitting the buttons and stuff. And yeah, happy Resurrection Day. So Easter to those that call it that, Ishtar to those that call it that, Sunday to those that call it that. Resurrection Sunday is kind of what I've learned to call it now. So to all of you Christians out there, I hope you had a blessed day. And yeah, so let's get started on your crisis report. Whoosh. I'm going to crack right into it. A NATO member proudly hosted a terror organization. This is Amir Sarfati. I'm going to tell by the first sentence. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan hosted a senior Hamas delegation yesterday to Ankara. The delegation included Khalid Mashal, head of Hamas abroad, Khalil Al-Haya, head of Hamas Gaza, and Zahir Jabarin, head of Hamas Judea and Samaria. This morning, 3 red banners bearing, Hindu peace symbols. Hindu, that's originally what they were. African tribes had them too. let's just say a couple S's crossing over each other, were hung over the Essingleden highway in Stockholm. Police were alerted and reportedly removed the banners. UAE has reportedly deployed an advanced Israeli-made radar system in the Puntland region, northeastern Somalia, intensifying concerns over Abu Dhabi's growing military footprint in the Horn of Africa. Open source intelligence and aerial imagery confirm that the ELM 2084 3D AESA multi-mission radar, manufactured by Israeli defense firm ELTA, subsidiary of Israeli Aerospace Industries, has been installed near Bosaso Airport, adjacent to the UAE-run Bosaso Air Base. 4 U.S. Air Force C-17 cargo planes landed at Israel's Navatarim Air Base earlier this morning. Notably, 3 of the aircraft concealed their flight paths, indicating a possible classified delivery. IDF eliminated the deputy head of Hezbollah's Unit 4400 today, Sunday. IAF conducted intelligence-based strike on Hussein Ali Nasser, who served as deputy head of the Hezbollah Unit 4400. During the role, Nasser operated to smuggle weapons and funds into the state of Lebanon in order to rebuild the Hezbollah terror organization's military capabilities. As part of his efforts, he collaborated with the Iranian operatives to facilitate the transfer of weapons and funds into Lebanon, including through Beirut International Airport. Nasser maintained contact with employees in the airport who secretly operate for Hezbollah and assist with smuggling operations. In addition, he promoted and led weapons procurement deals with smugglers along the Syrian-Lebanon border. Moreover, he oversaw the terror organization's reinforcement and military buildup process. During the Swords of Iron War and as part of an Operation Northern Arrows, the IAF, guided by precise intelligence, conducted extensive strikes and targeted eliminations aimed at disrupting the 4,400 units' ongoing activities, and the weapon smuggling routes used the Hezbollah terror organization in Lebanon. Furthermore, commander of the Unit 4400, Mohammed Jafar Qasir, was eliminated along with his deputy Ali Hassan Gharib. Russian forces have started using North Korean M1991 multiple rocket launchers, or MLRS, in the war against Russia. M1991 is a 240-millimeter MLRS, first revealed by the early 1990s, capable of firing 22 rockets in under a minute with a range of 60 kilometers. It is designed for long-range attacks and area suppression, effective against urban areas, military targets, but lacks precision guidance. Ukraine's military intelligence reported that Russia received about 120 M1991 systems from North Korea and was expected to get more. According to CNN, Trump and his administration are considering officially recognizing Russian sovereignty over the Crimea as part of a broader strategy to end the war in Ukraine. According to the sources familiar with the discussions, Trump administration is also exploring urging the United Nations to adopt a similar stance, aligning with President Vladimir Putin's position. This potential policy shift has sparked strong opposition from Ukraine and European allies who reject any territorial concessions and continue to view Crimea as part of Ukraine. Russia did not uphold the so-called Easter truce as it had announced. According to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and the Ukrainian military, Russian forces carried out hundreds of shelling incidents, dozens of drone attacks, and multiple ground assaults during the period that was supposed to be a ceasefire. Zelensky accused Russia of merely creating the illusion of a ceasefire for public relations purposes while continuing offensive actions several frontline sectors. Denmark is considering strengthening its coastal defense by reestablishing mobile coastal missile units equipped with systems based on the Naval Strike Missile, or NSM. The move is part of the broader naval modernization plan, which includes upgrading the Royal Danish Navy's capabilities and replacing older missile systems with the advanced long-range and precise NSM. The NSM will significantly enhance Denmark's anti-ship operations and coastal defense, reflecting increased security concerns and the need for a robust deterrent in the region. German Bundeswehr plans to expand its total force to 460,000 soldiers, including active duty personnel, reservists, to meet NATO commitments and improve combat readiness. The active force numbers are around 182,000, with a target of just over 200,000 by 2031 to reach 460,000 total. Germany aims to prepare approximately 100,000 reservists by the end of the decade as well. U.S. already possesses the technology to begin developing space-based interceptor missiles under the Golden Dome project aimed at countering intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs. Reminds me of the Reagan days, the Star Wars system. However, this system would require thousands of interceptor missiles to orbit to successfully shoot down just a few incoming ICBMs, highlighting the immense scale and complexity of such a defense network. The project envisions deploying around 200 satellite interceptors capable of destroying enemy missiles from space. This approach revives concepts from the Reagan-era Star Wars, knew it, program, but with modern technologies. Several Swiss political parties are urging the government to abandon the F-35 fighter deal. Their main concerns are dependence on the United States for maintenance, technology, and operational support, unpredictability of the U.S. policy, especially under the possible Trump administration, which could affect reliability and diplomatic relations. This is actually old. This is from about months ago. China has recently introduced a new AI-powered attack drone designed for use by individual infantry squad members. This advanced drone is equipped with artificial intelligence that enables it to operate autonomously, identify targets, and make real-time combat decisions without direct human control. The drone is reportedly capable of launching 35mm grenades, adding significant firepower to the squad level. Why am I getting visions of the 1984 classic The Terminator with the drones flying in the sky, ravaging a destroyed Los Angeles cityscape? U.S. Department of State's website published the testimony of a Cuban doctor who participated in the Mais Medicos program as an example of forced labor in the country, such as Brazil. Felt in prison, watched for the Cuban soldiers who were sent with us. They forced us to work even when we were sick. We never knew that we were going to what we were earning or how much we were earning. My contract was an absurdity. I signed the contract so I could leave Cuba. The Cuban government exploited and enslaved us. They paid us 25% of what Brazil paid us, and the Cuban government took the rest, or at least 75% of the salary. Yes, you leave Cuba and you don't tell anyone, you don't tell you where you're going or how much you're going to get paid, only that you have to do everything they say, period. Cuban medical missions are undoubtedly modern slavery. Communism, right there. Jordan has banned weekly demonstrations in support of Gaza after claiming to have foiled a plot to carry out armed attacks. Israeli Broadcasting Authority. Armed men on a Turkish boat opened fire with an AK-47 against officers of the Greek Coast Guard and crew during an attempted inspection within Greek territorial waters off the coast of Lesbos a few days ago. The Greeks returned the fire, forcing the other boat back to Turkey. If you ever get a chance, visit the beautiful island of Lesbos. NASA's oldest active astronaut returns to Earth on the 70th birthday. That's cool. Pope has met with Vice President J.D. Vance. We'll have more on that. Israel has refused to allow the Papal Nuncio Adolfo Tito Villana to attend Easter ceremonies at the Holy Sepulchre tonight. Now, that has been refuted by Catholic channels. So I'm not quite sure what's going on. Amir Sarfati had a post basically saying that is BS and they're lying to you. So I don't know what is true. I don't know if he was refused or if there was something that happened or whatever. I don't know. But that one, I just wanted to give you the other side. Amir Sarfati said there's this like Catholic guy on Twitter who's got a bunch of followers, and he was there, and he said that didn't happen, that the guy was not refused. So I don't know. So full spectrum. Europe is on the verge of a sovereign debt crisis. That's why you are seeing all the European leaders cheering for wars, because they know that more wars are needed to stay in power. Very worried about the real escalation of the Ukraine-Russian conflict. Europe is trying to go into a direct war with Russia, which is a kind of act of self-harm from my point of view. Leaders of Europe are clearly desperate for this war. Those in power in Europe do not accept what the people of Europe tell them. Take the example of France. It's almost 1 year that there has not been a stable government. There's a witch hunt around Marine Le Pen because she's the only one who can beat Macron in the next presidential election, or at least is allowed to. You look what happened in Germany. The election has been confiscated. I mean, around 25% of Germans have voted for AfD, and AfD have been excluded from the new government. You look at Romania. Election was canceled because the candidate who was supposed to win the presidential election was against war, was against NATO. He's no longer there. You look at everywhere in Europe, those in power really understand that if there is no war, they will not stay in power for much longer. Europe will impose capital controls before the end of the year. My best advice I give to anyone is do not own anything in Europe. Do not own any assets in Europe. Do not have any bank account in a European bank in Europe, because you will be in trouble. And that is from Laurent Lechieu of the macrobutler.substack.com. Beautiful thing here, of course, at the crisis report is that I have the links. So if you would like to follow that man and get more of his analysis of the financial system from the European mindset, well, that's what PrepperNow.substack.com can do for you. Major diplomatic victory. Parties are struggling yet uphold Easter truce. This is the Russian side of things. They're saying everything went well. Military summary and analysis for the April 20th, 2025. Western media unanimously blaring that Russia and Putin personally have scored a brilliant diplomatic victory, announcing an Easter truce. Ukrainian spin doctors spent 3 frantic hours trying to devise a way for Zelensky to achieve similar success on the diplomatic stage, yet he failed to secure any meaningful result in the end and simply agreed to Russia's terms, but with 1,000 caveats. Parties are observing the ceasefire, and there's a chance it could be extended further. That would be great. Former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett reportedly suffered a heart attack this morning and was hospitalized, where he underwent cardiac catheterization. Hebrew media reports that he felt unwell after a workout. He remains in the hospital for continued monitoring and treatment, and his current status is unclear. Telegraph reports that the RAF has scrambled to intercept Russian aircraft twice in the past 48 hours. RAF Typhoon fighters have intercepted Russian aircraft twice in 48 hours after Russian aircraft flew too close to NATO borders, causing alarm. Is the U.S. quitting Africa? Trump administration plans to drastically restructure the State Department, scrapping all of its, or most of its, African operations. New York Times reported White House draft order, a copy which was obtained. All non-essential U.S. embassies and consulates in sub-Saharan Africa could be shut down by October 1, according to the report. The Bureau of African Affairs is expected to be replaced with a much smaller special envoy office that would report to the White House National Security Council. Diplomats could be delivered to Africa on targeted, mission-driven deployments in line with the order to due to be signed by President Trump. New York Times has claimed. Secretary of State Marco Rubio reacted by describing the information as fake news. So there you go. Pope Francis was too frail to lead the Easter services, leaving the duties to several cardinals instead. University of Illinois, Chicago used Depop projections, to conclude that by 2100, the populations of some 15,000 U.S. cities could dwindle to become ghost towns, which they argue is a 12 to 23% decline. Already many cities fill this bill from 1950 to 2020. Baltimore and Detroit, we're looking at you. When you look at cities and towns in Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, etc., this is hardly dramatic news. Many cities and towns in the Rust Belt peaked in the 1940s and 50s and have lost their significant population. Since then, the rest of the U.S. will simply follow that trajectory. Because people don't want to live in cities because they're dangerous, because they're run by people that will defund the police and allow criminals to get away with anything. So they're moving. Cities and towns in Texas, Florida, Arizona, Idaho, North Carolina, Nevada, etc. will see population increases, while most of the rest of the country, especially Illinois, Wisconsin, California, New Jersey, outside of Hasidic areas, obviously, New York, IBID, sees declines. They're really demographically screwed on the other side of the aisle. It is what it is. And that's kind of dangerous. Okay, let's play to your fears, because these people have had power for a long time. They've basically ruined everything, ran it all into the ground, and now they fear losing power. As the one thing, the one article stated for the guy, the Laurent Lachille. So, what's left? Start war. Take us to destruction, destroy the system, and pray to God they can keep the keys to the castle. So interesting times ahead. Global safe haven is slowly breaking. Why central banks are turning to gold in just the past year. U.S. dollar has lost over 35% of its purchasing power against gold, driven by record central bank gold buying. It's not a trend, it's a signal. That is true. Reporter Powell says he won't leave even if you ask him. Trump says, he'll leave. If I ask him, he'll be out of there. I'm not happy with him. If I want him out, he'll be out of there and real fast. Believe me. Reporter, are you trying to remove him? Trump, yeah. Next question. He's not happy and he's not playing around. Israel is eyeing limited strike against Iran's nuclear facilities despite Trump's stated opposition. Israel's proposed attack would sabotage the White House's attempt at diplomacy to negotiate a nuclear deal. Every single one of the 50 fastest growing counties in America is in a state that was won by Trump. I'm going to say that again. So when your lefty friends come up and they start screaming in the ear, tell them that by 2030 they're going to be demographically dead and the party will be over. The census in 2030, unless they do terrible things to steal it, and that's totally possible, by 2030, the census is going to take seats away from California, New York, Illinois, and it's going to replace them in places like Idaho, Texas, and Florida. Nobody wants to be a part of their system, and everybody is leaving in droves. It is what it is. Interesting. Okay, sorry. Arco to Therium point out that regularly that internal migration in the U.S. is overwhelmingly blue state to red state, but I didn't realize that pattern was so strong it could completely overwhelm international immigration, which slightly favors blue states at the county level. So if people are moving, there's so much moving in America away from blue states because they suck, that it's literally more than the international community. More people are moving in America than anywhere else, and it's because they have trashed the cities. Great post by this Substack, or not Substack, Telegram channel I go to called Bellum Acta. I mean, they are fantastic. They've got a lot of, they got some stuff on there that I don't agree with, but most of the political science on there is excellent, and really go out and find like demographic changes and where trends are going, which of course plays to the poli-sci guy in me. U.S. is losing the war against shoplifting. This is another one from them. It's great. I mean, the story is not great, but the info is. American stores are increasingly locking up basic goods. Shoplifting increased by 24% in the first half of 2024 in major cities. Data provided by the Council on Criminal Justice shows. Surveys also reveal cigarettes and beauty products are the most sought-after items by thieves, as well as liquor and teeth whitening strips. Such pricey items are meat. Such pricey items as meat are also the first to be locked up. 1 out of 4 U.S. adults has shoplifted. The survey quoted by the USA Today outlet shows. Additionally, about 1 in 20 have attempted shoplifting within a year. It's terrible. Stores lost over $121 billion due to retail theft in 2023. This figure is projected to reach $150 billion by 2026. Capital One Shopping Research states. Trick is that shoplifters are masters of evasion. They are arrested in only 1 out of 100 incidents, according to Capital One Shopping Research. Locking up basic products greatly frustrates well-intentioned customers, as some of them have to wait up to a half an hour for a shop assistant to unlock an item. It pushes customers toward online retailers, causing additional losses for retail stores. Pope Francis says, I feel sorrow over the tragic humanitarian situation in Gaza and call for a ceasefire. U.S. Secretary of State Rubio says reports that we are planning to cancel the State Department's operation in Africa are false. There is no truth to reports that we plan to close offices dealing with democracy, human rights, and refugees. Israeli military investigation concluded that its troops did not use indiscriminate fire in an incident that killed 15 Gaza emergency service personnel. So Israel did a terrible thing. They did a report, and everything's good. IAEA Director General says the United States-Iran agreement is closer, but it will require monitoring. Iranian nuclear agreement could be concluded within weeks, with a desire to move quickly to avoid the worst. Kremlin says Putin did not give the order to extend the Easter truce, so okay. More footage showing American convoys withdrawing from the Al Omar oil field, Deir ez-Zor, eastern Syria. Easter truce appears to be minimally upheld certain sections of the front. Ukraine initially declined the truce yesterday, but accepted hours later after getting pushback. Russian Defense Ministry reported over 50 attacks inside the border areas of Russia with civilian casualties, including a 2-year-old girl in the Belgorod region. You can already tell that this is a Russian, pro-Russian site, which is Middle East Spectator, pro-Hamas, pro-Russia. Aside from the shelling of Russian army positions, civilian areas in Kherson, Zaporozhye, Donetsk, and Lugansk have also been attacked. Salvadoran President Nayib Bukele offered Venezuela Sunday a trade of 252 Venezuelans deported to his country by the United States for an equal number of political prisoners held by President Nicolas Maduro and his regime. Doge has partnered with Palantir to build a mega. They're going to build a mega API for the IRS. Mega API would centralize sensitive taxpayer information such as names, social security numbers, income, filing history into one platform accessible across federal systems. Smotrich, Israel must have full occupation of Gaza military government if needed. Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich called for a full occupation of the Gaza Strip and military government if necessary in a speech at a Maimuna ceremony in the Netivot on Saturday night. Smotrich also quoted Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's Saturday night statements in which the Israeli leader said the war will not end until they destroy Hamas in Gaza. Pope Francis met briefly with U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance on Easter Sunday. Private audience lasted a few minutes. They exchanged Easter greetings. Pope gave Vance a Vatican tie, rosaries, and a set of 3 large chocolate eggs for his kids. Democrat Representative Jamie Raskin has issued a warning to any foreign country that aligns with Trump, saying that when Democrats return to power, and they will, they won't forget who stood where. Officials from both the Biden and Trump administration improperly distributed sensitive materials to thousands of federal employees, including what may have been classified floor plans of the White House. Okay. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is facing accusations of leaking detailed plans for military operation against the Houthis in Yemen through a second signal group that included his wife, brother, and lawyer. So, if you're using Signal and you think it's secure, it's not. They can get anything, okay? So, it's not. As for Mr. Hegseth, I mean, these are 3 people that he would have, confidential things. If something goes on in my life, I'm going to talk to my wife about it. And I might even talk to my brother. And if I had a lawyer, I'd probably talk to him too. So, I don't know. They're trying to take him down. They see him as the weak link, and they're really going after him. So, I hope he gets busted and Trump comes out and says, I don't care, he's cool. Trump administration is reportedly preparing to cut another $1 billion in health research funding allocated to Harvard. Democrat judge in New Mexico resigned from his bench after immigration agents arrested an alleged Tren de Aragua gang member that was living in his home. Man, it's one thing to be a judge that rules crappily. And by the way, the Supreme Court ruling on the Alien Enemies Act, Alito lit it up. I mean, it basically breaks all precedent of the way the Supreme Court works and really shows us that the Supreme Court at this point is just a political body, regardless of who's on it. And they are beholden to agendas that aren't really in line with the American people. So, it is what it is. Expect no relief from there. How do you know when your enemy is losing? He starts making up stories on fake victories and fake events. Yemen has claimed that the American aircraft carrier USS Truman is out of service, according to a top Houthi leader. No word anywhere else on that. And what will affect you, spot gold has risen above $3,380 an ounce for the first time ever. And that, my friends, is a record high. All right. That's your crisis report for April 20th, 2025. We are going to take it on over to PrepperNow. If you like what we're doing here, please consider becoming a member like Water Tiger, $2 a month. Helps us come back and keeps the platform, hopefully, in some kind of a relatively nice way. You can leave a comment and, just subscribe if you're new here, darken the bell. And we would love to keep doing this for you and getting the information out there because it's the most comprehensive news on YouTube if you are new here and haven't noticed that. We go out and we find everything we can, try to pack it to about 30, 40 minutes. We're about 34 minutes right now. And, memberships are growing, so that's good. We're going to be back again tomorrow. So, to the Christians, happy Resurrection Sunday. He is risen. God bless you all. And everybody else, I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. And I will see you on the next one. Follow us on over to PrepperNow, and we'll do another video over there. God bless you all, and have a wonderful April 21st. See you later.